philosophers as to who we think is inventing morality. Philosophers, the Hegels and the Kants of this world, the Platos of this world, the Aristotles of this world, they so morality just is a fountain out of their minds, out of their heads, springs de novo out of their heads, or it comes down from heaven. And of course, Durkheim is going to say what you've already been saying, that actually morality springs from society. Different societies have different moralities. You can't just fiddle around with morality because it is a reflection of the society from which it springs. And as society changes, morality changes. You got an example of that? An example of how society changes? Yes, Sienna?
Maybe 100 years ago, if you were a 50-year-old man marrying a 13-year-old girl, it would be a problem. But now, it would be a
Yes. Well, yes, all right. I mean, that's an extravagant example, but not so extravagant. But there are obviously even... Hold on. It's Courtney.
A woman's right to vote.
The woman's right to vote. Well, yeah, that's a question. If that's a sort of moral, that's a rule. I think that's a sort of rule. Is that moral rules and obligatory? Yeah, I suppose you could say it's obligatory. Yes, women's right to vote. Yes, it's a right. It's not. It's a moral. Yeah, it's a moral rule. All right. When did that happen?
1920.
Go. When was it? 21, 22, we're saying down here, somewhere around there. Okay, 22. Okay, so, what happened? Why were women allowed to vote, given the opportunity to vote? Well, we could give more examples. Just, what is the one example? That's obviously been in our face for the last 3 or 4 days, right? Yes? Being publicly
gay.
Yes, publicly gay. That's also something that is, one might say, in this society, something that has emerged over time. But not only that, more in the present, there is gay marriage, same-sex marriage, right? That is on the political agenda. And one can only assume that very soon it will be quite, quote, normal. Yeah, so there's voting. So what is happening? And of course, obviously what I'm talking about is, what I was hoping that you would say immediately is what? Obama, race, right? Not in becoming president, but the idea that, the white and black can marry in this country. I don't know when that began. When that was legal, 1950 sometime? 67? Well, there you go. 67. 67. So what? All right. So there is some change in morality. Now we have a African American president. So all right, so how does one explain this? How does one explain this changes in morality around issues of race, around more inclusive and openness with respect to race and sexuality? Yes, Greg? So what, exactly? What is changing, you might say? Yes, Aaron?
The discourse surrounding democracy and equality.
Yeah, one could say it's a discursive thing. Right, yes, it might say it's but what is a discourse? That's our epiphenomenon. But what's going on in society, Greg?
Like the social structure is changing?
Yes, social structure is changing. That's what Durkheim would say. Social structure is changing. How is it changing? How is it changing, Marianne?
Well, it's like certain laws become new priorities, so like you have to bus your children to different schools, so they have to go to school with other people, and you're not allowed to have segregated bathrooms anymore. And so like behavior being dispersed because laws are enforcing that kind of behavior and then adding to bathrooms.
But why are there new laws? Why are there new laws? What's happening to society? Why are there new laws? That's the fountain of the new morality. Or the more laws are the consequence of the new... This is what Durkheim would say. What's happening? What is happening? What is happening? Be Marxist for a moment. Oh, yes, be Marxist for a moment. Just a moment. Lauren.
We're evolving.
Yeah, we're definitely evolving. But what is evolving? Society is evolving. What is happening? Yes.
Society getting together and social change. So that's what it's changing.
Yes, social movement. But what is that? What is the social... How is the social structure? How is the division of labor changing? Juliana?
Well, our economic base is changing, so the way we have to organize ourselves is also changing in terms of how we're producing our changing.
Yeah. We're getting closer now. We're getting nearer. Yes.
Society sort of builds sections of separate interests that then look at each other.
Yes, but let's be concrete. Let's talk about race. What has happened in this society in the race of the last 150 years? Yes?
It has to be functional to the integration of how societies change.
Yeah, but you're all being vague, you're being abstract, you're being sociological. I want you to be concrete. What actually is changing to give rise to these new racial mores? The erosion of segregation. What happens? Ariana?
Revolution?
Whoa, revolution in the United States of America? Sorry?
These people are revolutionizing to create laws.
Interesting. Well, I'm desperate here. What has happened? Yes, well, it doesn't matter, we can continue. Rosa?
Extending consciousness about
Yeah, that is a consequence. That's what we all talk about. The new consciousness. But where is it coming from? Have you forgotten what we did for 15 weeks last semester? Hegemony. Me and my hegemony. Just all right, the first 6 weeks. What's happened in this country? What has happened in this country in the last 150 years? Yes?
Me?
Yes, you. Who are you?
I'm Amanda.
Amanda, how do you do?
I do well.
Good.
I really do not have the answer to this before, but I think people become dissatisfied with their situations, and then in order to keep them from blowing up the government institutions that create, we have to accommodate those factions of people.
But why are they getting so dissatisfied? Yes.
People aren't happy with their class.
Happy with their class.
Where they are in the class. So people are like, become toxic.
Okay, I think that you should talk about this with your GSIs. What Durkheim is going to say is that essentially morality, moral rules change with society. And that's what you've all been, no, it's too late. You've had your chance. Yes. Now, so basically what Durkheim, and this is my second point, that essentially different societies produce different moral rules. And exactly how we'll have to see. But let's turn to XX5. XX5. That's the second page, right? The last line on the first page, XX25, Roman numerals 25, he says, yet, what above all is certain is that morality develops over the course of history and is dominated by historical causes, fulfilling a role in our life in time. If it is as it is at any given moment, it is because the conditions in which men are living at that time do not permit it to be otherwise. The morality is given by the social world in which we live. The proof of this is that it changes when these conditions change, and only in that eventuality. So when the gender division of labor, when the racial division of labor changes, when slavery disappears, then morality will change. Yes, indeed. So anyway, this is the fundamental point Durkheim is making here. The second point is that moral rules come from society, and when society changes, so do those moral rules. But he says, sociology is not just the science of those moral rules. It's not just the science of those moral facts. It's not just studying facts at a distance. Sociology is also concerned with improving society. It's concerned with also trying to get the right moral rules for a given society, to fit the rules to society. That's what sociology is involved in, as he says on page, the same 26. And if we look at the bottom of page 26, 2, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom of 26, Durkheim says, we trust, in the middle of the line there, we trust that this book will at least serve to weaken that prejudice, because we shall demonstrate in it how science can help in finding the direction in which our conduct ought to go, assisting us to determine the ideal that gropingly we seek. But we shall only be able to raise ourselves up to that ideal after having observed reality, for we shall distill the ideal from it. We will study society, look at the facts, and distill from it the ideal to which that society is yearning to go. We will distill the ideal, the world we want to approach, collectively desire to approach. We will look at the world and see that, in fact, if we look at the world around us, we will see that same-sex marriage is inevitable for the future. Durkheim might say, yes. Okay, so sociology is the science of moral facts, and the third point is it is also a guide to action. But how is it going to be a guide to action? Well, and this is crucial. Durkheim thinks of sociology as the medicine of society. He thinks of society like a human body. And a human body has a healthy state. So we are told. A human body has a healthy state. And when we are diseased, we diagnose a disease, right, Conrad? We diagnose a disease because we are in some way not normal. And then we have a cure once we've made the diagnosis. That is how he sees sociology. Sociology, Durkheim says, is the medicine, the doctor of society. Sociologists are going to establish what is a normal society. Whoa, tricky stuff. But yes, that's the claim. A normal society. And then when people are not normal, they're diseased. So there's a diagnosis of the disease, social disease, and then there is the treatment. That is how Durkheim conceives of sociology. Indeed he does. On page 27. Where are we? Point number 4. All right. Very simple. A new paragraph on 27. XX5, I. 1, 2 I's only. A new paragraph. 2, 4 lines into it, he says, firstly, a state of moral health, a healthy society, if there's a state of moral health exists, that science alone can competently determine, and as it is nowhere wholly attained, it is already an ideal to strive towards. That is to say, just like the body has a healthy state and you need a doctor to determine it, so you need a sociologist to determine whether a society is healthy or not, and insofar as it is not, the doctor, the sociologist, must prescribe some treatment. Yes, so that is a really crucial, we'll see, point in Durkheim's vision of sociology. That was my fourth point, medicine and society. And then he says, it's all very well, sociology may propose a treatment, we should have same-sex marriage, but who's to say that society will accept it? Why will they adopt it? Well, he says as follows on page 27, down further below. He says, where are we? It's about the middle of that paragraph. From the bottom of the page. How many lines? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 lines from the bottom of the page. Finally. It's 2 words in from the right. Finally, by comparing internally the normal type, a strictly scientific operation, we shall be able to discover that the latter, the normal type, is not entirely at harmony within itself, that it contains contradictions, imperfections, which we can then seek to eliminate or remedy. This is a new purpose that science proposes to the will. That is to look at society and see the internal contradictions and try and then smooth them out. But it may be argued, if science can foresee, it cannot command. This is true. It can only tell us what is needful for life. Yet how can we fail to see that assuming mankind wishes life to continue, in italics, a very simple operation may immediately transform the laws that science has established into rules that are categorical for our behavior. That once the scientist, the sociologist tells the world what it is necessary to do, everybody will spontaneously realize it was necessary and it will become a categorical imperative. Whew. If only the world would believe what sociologists say. Well, perhaps not. Perhaps we're rather fortunate that the world doesn't always believe what we say. Yes, anyway, of course, sociologists don't exactly always agree with one another, by the way, as you perhaps noticed. Yes. But anyway, that's Durkheim's view, that we are the doctors of society. And thus he criticizes Marxism. Doesn't mention Marxism, mustn't give it any legitimacy, so don't mention it. But actually on the next page he criticizes Marxism. What he says on the next page, the third line from the top, he says, certain theories which claim to be scientific have been rightly reproached with being subversive and revolutionary. Rightly reproached. But this is because they are scientific in name only. That's Marxism. They are scientific in name only. In fact, they erect a structure but fail to observe. They don't do the empirical research. I, however, Durkheim, I'm going to do all the empirical research. I'm going to be a true scientist. You'll see. See if he's a true scientist. See if he actually don't. Leave me yet. I've got 1 more minute. That's one criticism, that basically Marxism is a pseudoscience. And if you drop down to the end of that paragraph, the end of 2, 4, 6 lines from the end of the paragraph, Durkheim says, undoubtedly it may turn out to be not at all as it should be, and consequently it may be appropriate to intervene, as we ourselves have just demonstrated. But then, the intervention is limited. Its purpose is not to construct in its entirety another morality. We don't construct another morality alongside or above the predominant one, but to correct the latter or partially to improve it. We don't invent a whole new morality from each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs. No whole new morality, but we work with the existing morality and refashion it. That is what Durkheim is suggesting. And that Marxism has invented some whole new morality and in a sense imposed it upon the world. That is not how we will do it. We will infer morality from the world, from the empirical world. That is the 6th point. And the last question is this. The question is this, and this is the introduction. It's a simple introduction. Is the division of labor a moral rule? Should we follow the division of labor or not? That is the question of this book. Is the division of labor a moral rule? Is it something that we should follow or should oppose? And there are arguments on every side. Some people say we should specialize. Some people say we should be dilettantes and not specialize. What did Marx say? Marx says ultimately under communism we shouldn't specialize. Smith said we should specialize. Everybody's having an argument, yes or no, to the division of labor. And Durkheim is going to give us an answer. How is he going to give us an answer? He's going to be scientific. How is he going to be scientific? He's going to study the world. He's going to study the world and come to an answer as to whether we should support the division of labor or not. And that's what we're going to read about. So read chapter 1. Whoa. Jesus Christ. Yep.
I missed one of your